Arsenal has several injured players ahead of their FA Cup clash against Southampton this evening, and Mikel Arteta has provided an update on the condition of some key members of his squad. During the international break, a number of Arsenal players withdrew from representing their countries due to injury concerns. With a crucial period of the season approaching, the Gunners require as many of their top players as possible to be fit and available for selection. The team has performed well across competitions so far, although they fell short in the Carabao Cup final. They will now be determined to avoid a similar disappointment in the FA Cup and maintain their push for silverware. The team has performed well across competitions so far, although they fell short in the Carabao Cup final. They will now be determined to avoid a similar disappointment in the FA Cup and maintain their push for silverware. Southampton is expected to provide a stern test, but Arsenal still has a relatively strong squad despite a few absentees. Arteta offered insight into the situation of several players as he assessed their readiness for the upcoming fixture. He said via the Metro, "It looked really bad. Noni was really worried, especially after what happened to him, his other knee a few weeks ago," Arteta said. "He was out for 6 weeks last time, but no, he's nowhere near that injury. So that's really good news. Ebbs is out. With Ebbs I cannot put a finger on a time frame there because I don't know, because he's a special character." Arteta added, "Those Timber and Odegaard are in contention to possibly be in the squad." These updates suggest that while some players remain unavailable, there is optimism regarding the fitness of others who could return in time to feature. Arsenal must be at their best against Southampton, and having key players available would significantly strengthen their chances. However, the squad's overall depth provides reassurance that they can still field a competitive side even in the absence of certain individuals. The coming fixture represents another important step in their season. If Arsenal can manage their injuries effectively and maintain performance levels, they will be well positioned to progress further in the competition and keep their ambitions alive. Mikel Arteta appeared to work with a small Arsenal group in training on Friday, as a staggering 13 players were not spotted in pictures uploaded to the club website. The Gunners return to action tomorrow evening with an FA Cup quarter-final against Southampton, but Arteta could be without several key players. The Arsenal boss was coy in his pre-match press conference that did confirm that Eberechiez, Piero Hincapié and Noni Madueke would be unavailable. The trio were unsurprisingly not in the training pictures from Friday's session, with Hincapié and Madueke suffering injuries over the international break. Ez picked up a calf problem before the 2-week domestic pause, with Jurriën Timber also missing games. That included the Carabao Cup final against Manchester City last month due to a minor issue. Arteta confirmed the latter and Martin Odegaard are in contention to feature against Southampton, but neither were captured in the images uploaded to the club's website. Leandro Trossard has also been dealing with an injury and was subsequently nowhere to be seen in those official club photos. The injured Mikel Merino and young defender Molly Salmon, who has appeared in some senior squads and also played 62 minutes in the FA Cup win over Mansfield Town, were also absent. Miles Lewis-Skelly, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Martinelli and Max Baumann were all prominently featured in the 34 photos that appeared on Arsenal's website, with the quartet all likely to start on Saturday evening. Injury problems make the majority of Arteta's decisions relatively simple, but he's facing a pretty big call between David Raya and Kepa Arrizabalaga. The latter was at fault for City's first goal at Wembley, which somewhat threw into doubt whether or not he will continue playing in cup competitions. When specifically asked if the keeper who starts tomorrow will be Spanish and have a name that ends in a, Arteta replied, "I think tomorrow the goalkeeper is European, is under 32, right-footed and speaks at least 2 languages." Arguably the bigger games for Arsenal arrive next week, with a Champions League quarter-final first leg against Sporting CP. Premier League fixtures against Bournemouth and Manchester City follow either side of the European knockout second leg. It was a tense international break for Arsenal, with numerous players leaving their international camps with injuries. But who will be missing against Southampton? Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta would have watched every international break through his fingers. The Gunners manager issued updates for the many players who were either injured before the recent break or were sent back to North London having picked up knocks. Martin Odegaard, Jurrien Timber, Eberechiez, Piero Hincapié, Martin Zubimendi, Noni Madueke, Gabriel Magalhaes, William Saliba, Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice all returned with injuries or were crocked before the club campaign took a break. The North Londoners face Southampton in the FA Cup quarter-final this weekend and will be looking to book another trip to Wembley this season. However, Arteta may have to be cute with his squad as a result of his injury list. With that in mind, Football London takes a look at the Gunners' injury list and when those players will return. After Madueke limped off during England's 1-1 draw with Uruguay, before leaving Wembley Stadium with a brace on his left leg, many began to fear the worst, including Arteta. However, the Arsenal manager insisted the ex-Chelsea forward's injury is not as serious as first thought. Arteta, when asked if it's a serious injury, said, "No, it's not. It looked really bad, and Noni was really worried, especially after what happened to him in his other knee a few weeks ago, and he was out for 6 weeks. But no, he's nowhere near that injury. So that was really good news." Arteta appeared to confirm Eberechiez will not be fit to face the Saints on the weekend after suffering an injury just before the international break. However, the Gunners' boss admitted he is unable to put a time frame, the ex-Crystal Palace man. Martin Odegaard has missed his last 7 matches with a knee injury. In total, he has had to sit out of 22 matches this campaign. However, Arteta believes the Norwegian is in contention to be in the squad this weekend. Given how important he is to the Gunners, it would not be a surprise if Arteta errs on the side of caution and does not include him this weekend.